it begins. Dark were the skies and chill was the wind as the land was covered in a veil of malice. Across the hill did ride a dread army of the night, cloaked in mist and fog, prepared to rain down death and destruction upon the land. And the people did crowd for a savior, a noble soul to save them from their impending demise. Just as it seemed all was lost, in strode a mighty hero, clad in shimmering metal from head to toe. Wielding a terrible broadsword, he did cleave his foes in two, smashing their ranks asunder with righteous fury. And when the day was done and the enemy strode across the fields in pieces, the people did turn to the warrior and say, "We shall name this day in your honor. Speak unto us your wisdom." The warrior said one word that day: epic.
One man, one Murloc, one giant angry badger. This is Blue Please. It begins now. Yes, indeed, folks. Welcome to Blue Please here on SingleBread.com with myself, Total Biscuit. The date today is the 14th of May, 2010. It is 8 p.m. British Standard Time. It is 3 p.m. EST. It is potentially other times in other places. Shocking, I know. Wonderful, is it not? This is Blue Please, and welcome to the show. What have I got coming up in the show today? So little. Oh, dear. Dear. Why again would we have such nonsense going on? There's so little. I mean, not only has MMO Champion had to take down basically fucking everything, but we've got a situation where the Ruby Sanctum PTR isn't working, so no one can even give us any feedback on that either. God. Oh, it's terrible. I'm supposed to produce an entertaining show every week. That's kind of my thing. Little bit difficult, I must say, when nothing is happening. I'll tell you what actually happened, though. No, there is something that did happen that disturbs me somewhat. Of course, in the whole move over to the other server, we didn't get enough people to form the guild because a bunch of people decided that they'd had enough of WoW and that the raiding was boring, and I can't say that I honestly blame or disagree with them. It's really silly. So now we've got a situation whereby the guild is lacking members. Let me just put it that way. Not so good. I've got a few ideas as to how to sort that out, and I'm going to be talking about that a little bit later on in the show, and I would like to know exactly what you do when your guild is totally burned out on content. I will tell you what I'm planning on doing a little bit later on. Also, the Ruby Sanctum. There is literally nothing going on with it, because we have no idea what it's supposed to be. Although everything I've seen of it thus far indicates that it's a reskinned Obsidian Sanctum with almost identical setup, maybe with a little bit of Hydral mixed in there. So, as opposed to the 4 bosses that you thought you were getting, actually you're just getting 1. Yes, just the 1 boss. Isn't it wonderful? No, not really. Oh, God, why? It's difficult to keep doing the show at this point, I must say. I'm trying to find entertainment in places. I'm trying to find just a little bit of hope and maybe a little bit of information to talk about. But I tell you what, the leaks from the alpha have been unreliable. MMO Champion, the usual great source for that, has been forced not to do it. WoW.com, who's usually absolutely fantastic about being gloriously hypocritical regarding leaks, saying, "Oh, no, we don't leak, we comply with everything. Here's a link to someone that leaks. Tee-hee, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, say no more." No, even they have been utterly worthless thus far. There's been a little bit of information about professions today, which, to be honest, doesn't really cover an awful lot, other than a little bit of indication for me. A few years back, in fact, I suggested the way to fix low-level crafting was to provide some random stats and provide a little bit of dynamism, assuming that's a real word. If it's not, it is now. So, I suggested that a long time ago, many years ago, and now they finally put it in there. Okay, cool, excellent. So that's going to be coming in Cataclysm. Otherwise, not an awful lot. I'm just looking at some screenshots, actually, that have just this very second gone up on MMO Champion. It's 6 screenshots of the PTR, and it looks really, really, really similar to Obsidian Sanctum. It's even got the same mobs in the packs. Yes, indeed. They're called something slightly different. They're called the Char Scale, but they are the same models. So, it's not really all that exciting, is it? I mean, they've been using those models since vanilla, let's be honest, and they've never had an update. And it's blindingly obvious in comparison to the new stuff. And for God's sake, one of the bosses is just one of the chromatic guards from Blackwing Lair, reskinned again. How are you supposed to get enthused about that nonsense? Oh look, it's a Drake, the same Drake model as they've always used, good God. There is literally nothing new in that entire instance from what I can tell. It's pretty disgraceful. If you want to go and have a look at it, it's MMO Champion, mmo-champion.com. You can have a look at the somewhat uninspiring screenshots, to say the least. Indeed. Well, I'd love to give you some experience from that, but since they only just went up, and you cannot queue for the PTR. Indeed, from the very start of them launching it, there was a 3-day queue, and it worked for maybe about 5 minutes, so... The wonders of the PTR, ladies and gentlemen. How the hell are you supposed to get any information from that? Well, otherwise, there's not an awful lot to talk about with that, so I suppose we'd better start with something like this.
That sounds like it's mail time. Here's the mail.
It never fails.
It makes me want to whack
my tail.
when it comes.
I want to wail.
Yes, indeed, folks, it is mail time. That's the time where we read the mail. Magical, mystical, and totally unexpected. Okay, so I'm going to keep the name of this guy out because it's kind of incriminating, to say the least. It is a fairly interesting point, so we're going to have a look at it and see what's going on. Okay, I'm a member of this guild on this server, and needless to say, I'm not going to tell people that because this is kind of silly. Anyway, when I got accepted into this guild, I rolled a priest with my RL name. And since I was a coder, I decided to pick up speed hacking. I wrote the program myself to help me level and get money from mining faster. I feel justified in using my own hacking program to quickly make levels and cash, because Blizzard now sells levels, RAF, and gold, TRH, which can be easily sold in the game for a few thousand gold. And they've always said they would not provide an in-game boost for real money, which both of these things now provide. Or better yet, they always said they would not include an exclusive in-game bonus for money, which affects gameplay, and both of those things do. So the real question is, in my pursuit to recreate a rich, geared, and well-enjoyed 80 on Arthas, is it wrong for me to speed hack, since the alternative is giving Blizzard $25, or buying gold with TRH? Personally, I don't think it's wrong for me to have fast leveling experiences for free, since other people can just buy it for money. Please keep my name private, blah blah blah. Well, yes, of course. Well, I wasn't actually aware that you could sell that retarded horse for cash in-game. I suppose it's possible, honestly. I don't know, is that one of the things you can sell? Because I know you can sell the loot cards, yes, from the TCG. I know you can do that. I wasn't aware you could sell TRH. Which would be interesting if you could, and yes, that is actually buying gold. I mean, there's not a question about that. As regards to whether or not it's right to speed hack, well, that's interesting, isn't it? That's a rather thorny subject. Well, what's the answer? It's difficult. It's not something I've really considered before. I've never, ever thought of hacking. I must admit, I've thought of buying an account at some point. I've thought of buying a character, but I decided it really wasn't worth the hassle. I mean, for one thing, it would take me ages to learn a new class that I hadn't played before when I wasn't experienced with leveling it up. So, to me, it seemed impractical. It also seemed like it would be a little bit of a kick in the teeth to anyone that actually grouped with me, because I would suck, invariably. Oh, look, here's a bunch of abilities I've never seen before in my life, having almost exclusively played a mage since launch. As regards to speed leveling and speed hacking, well, you can always say that Blizzard doesn't like it and it's against the rules, therefore it's wrong. But we know that that's not really the case, is it? That's a set of arbitrary rules put in place for whatever reason. To keep fairness and things like that. The question is, I suppose, does speed hacking hurt anyone else? Is speed hacking a victimless crime? As far as I'm aware, mostly it is. And there's a few things I assume you could do with speed hacking. For instance, you could mine nodes before the people, you could steal nodes, you could get out of PvP a lot easier. I mean, what exactly do you mean by speed hacking? Are you talking along the lines of moving faster, doing damage faster, what? I assume it's moving faster, in which case I suppose that does give you a little bit of an advantage in terms of leveling, but yeah, I mean, it's not a huge advantage, is it? It's certainly not the same advantage as 3 times experience from the setup with the Recruit a Friend. Now, I understand that people want to get something for nothing, and a lot of people also want to be able to level up alts quicker. To me, it seems like they should provide a service that is a little bit less cumbersome than Recruit a Friend. I mean, Recruit a Friend is a very nudge-nudge, wink-wink kind of service. It's like, oh, this is purely for recruiting new friends, but we know in the long run that a lot of you are going to use it for multi-boxing and things like that. But we're not going to officially acknowledge that. We're not going to advertise that as a feature. We're just going to let you assume it. You know, we're not going to tell you about it. We know that it's happening, but we're not going to do anything with it. Yeah. It's odd, isn't it? Now, as regards to whether or not it's right to do it, again, thorny subject, difficult to call. I view any kind of cheating as wrong in principle. But I must say, in terms of lesser of two evils, I would much, much rather you speed hack in order to get gold and get levels quicker than pay someone else to power level for you, especially if it happens to be a Chinese gold farming company. I mean, in this situation, nobody's getting any money. The speed hacking. Assuming you're not buying some kind of speed hacking tool, in which case you're an idiot, it's probably loaded with Trojans. But since you're a programmer, one must assume you've made it yourself. I personally don't have a massive problem with that. Really. I mean, on what grounds? That's the question. Does it give you an advantage, an unfair advantage over people in a competitive environment? I mean, if you were using it in PvP, for instance, that's just cheating. I mean, pure and simple. There is no justification for that nonsense. If you are using it simply to level, on the other hand, then yeah, you are talking about something that's effectively a victimless crime. Something that does not unduly disadvantage other people. I think that's the most important thing. That's the acid test to me. Yeah, it's against the rules. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, I would never do it. Because to me, if it's not worth doing right, then it's not worth doing at all. However, I can understand why some people would want to do it, and I can also understand why some people would not want to get involved in Recruit a Friend. And indeed, a lot of people don't have the option. I mean, think about it. We're talking about a system which is not available in a bunch of European countries because of legality issues within that country. So, in reality, you have 2 options for leveling in a country that is not allowed to use Recruit a Friend. You can get power leveling if you want quicker leveling, or you can use a speed hack. I would certainly much rather use a speed hack. I'm not saying either of them are right, but I can understand why you want to do it. That said, of course, this guy's from the US, so Recruit a Friend is available. To be honest, Recruit a Friend is a better system overall. I mean, it is a good, solid, well-thought-out system that gives appropriate rewards and gives a bunch of really cool benefits, and it's way more fun to level with a friend. No doubt about it. Oh, it's probably way more fun to multi-box, honestly. But I suppose if you want a speed hack and all you're using it for is leveling, there's nothing to stop you. But then again, how could you ever trust anyone to just use it for leveling? Honestly. At the point, ladies and gents, when it starts to unduly disadvantage any other player, no matter how small, then as far as I'm concerned, it can go to hell. But that's my opinion on it. I'm not going to shout down that kind of behavior. Just simply on principle with no real practical reasoning, other than Blizzard says no. Blizzard says no is not a good enough reason. For God's sake, I got permabanned twice from the forums, specifically because I did not agree with the Blizzard says no rule. So, there you go. Right, let's read another email before the break, ladies and gents. Dear host of shows!
You dare look upon the host of souls! I shall devour you all!
Indeed. As you know, Blizzard in the past has removed the possibility to get mounts such as the Plagued Proto-Drake and Armani Warbear. Currently the Old War mounts are still in the game. While the removal has been constantly called for by Blizzard since the beginning of the Argent tournament, the whining of scrubs has kept the mount within the game. Since Blizzard has yet to remove the mounts, do you think they recalled their original plan of removing the achievement mounts to calm the swarms of scrubs, or are they building up time to give a better reason for removing them? Also, do you think Blizzard will remove the chance to get the Red Proto-Drake at the launch of Kata? Okay, where the hell does the Red Proto-Drake come from again? I can't honestly remember. I'm gonna have to find out now. Red Proto-Drake. Spell. Range the Red Proto-Drake. Where does it come from? Some kind of achievement, I imagine. A dungeons... Glory of the Hero. Okay. What the hell's Glory of the Hero again? I don't pay any attention to this kind of nonsense. What does it do? Oh, you've got to do a whole bunch of stuff, and most of that is dungeons. Right, okay. Well, to be honest, is Proto-Drake a 310 speed mount? Because bear in mind that you're going to get this as training. 310 is going to be a trainable thing, so it becomes less special at that point. As far as the Old War mounts go, I think they should have gone already, honestly. I mean, Old War can be stomped into the ground with a bunch of overgeared people, even if it does require you to do some extremely tricky things. Those should have gone ages ago, there's really no doubt about that. There was plenty of time for people to get it if they were gonna get it. I mean, to me, 6 months is a fair window. Yeah? If you're not going to get it in 6 months, then you're not going to get it at all. It does seem to me to devalue, and indeed debase, the idea of getting an achievement-based mount, something that is special and required an awful lot of effort from you, simply by leaving it open so long that anyone can get it, and that's a problem for me. My name's Total Biscuit, you are listening to Blue Please here on CynicalBrit.com with myself, Total Biscuit, and this is 1 Minute Silence, Rise and Shine. Enjoy.